Today is Thursday, February 19th, 2026, and disaster has struck in stores. This is Talkin Husky Hoops.
It is a UConn coronation. The Huskies make history. Back-to-back national champions.
I'm Mike Gizzi.
And I'm Jeong.
And welcome back to the 16th episode of Talkin Husky Hoops, where we talk all things UConn men's basketball, from game previews and game breakdowns to everything involving Hurley and the men's team. Will, I kind of know how you're feeling, but I have to ask, how are you feeling today?
Not great, and there's a lot of emotions after this past game, to say the least. So I think it's better to just get right into things rather than dwell on it. So this past Wednesday, the Huskies fell in stores to the Creighton Bluejays by a score of 91-84. Creighton was led by leading scorers Josh Dix and Nick Graves. And the Bluejays offense overall just was able to completely pick apart UConn's defense, and they were constantly getting open looks all around the court. Dix led the Bluejays with 21 points and 3 for 4 from 3, efficient 60% shooting overall, and Graves himself had 18 points and 50% shooting.
Yeah, I mean, Creighton as a team shot 48% from beyond the arc, an impressive shooting night. However, that's also due to the lack of defensive consistency from the Huskies. The perimeter passing and quick sets kept the Huskies on their heels with an outside look or driving lane almost always open for them.
Yeah.
I mean, just not great defensively.
Yeah. No, and unfortunately, though, problems on the defensive side were not it for the Huskies, though, as they also struggle with the ball. Despite I would say acceptable, three-point shooting, 11 for 30 from beyond the arc, the Huskies grew stagnant from 2. They shot 20 for 41, under 50% from 2. The last 10 minutes of the game or so felt like, especially, it just the rim had a lid on it. Just shots could not fall at all.
I mean, there is some good in the bad. Braylon Mullins, who led the team with 25 points on 9 for 22 shooting, was a career high, including 6 from 11 from 3. Terrace Reed also had an improved game from his last matchup against Georgetown, scoring 15 on 7 for 11 shooting, only committing 2 fouls compared to his quick 5 in the last one.
For sure. And good bounce back from both of those guys. It was good to see Mullins responding like that. Really showed some leadership there. Even though overall for the team this was a difficult one. As well as Terrace, good to see a response there. Against Georgetown was difficult to watch, to say the least. But in terms of the other starters, Caravan especially struggled overall. Had 2 points on 1 for 6 shooting in 25 minutes, which was also just a quiet night for Caravan, to say the least. He only had 25 minutes in this one compared to his average of 33 per night. Coach Hurley, after the game, mentioned a potential injury concern and that he wasn't playing this one 100%, but you could kind of just see on the floor, Caravan was a little sluggish on defense, not exactly the most involved like he usually is, and not the team leader on the floor like he is on the night tonight.
He always really wants to be a warrior for this team, and he always wants to go out there and play. But sometimes I think you need to know your body and know when it's best to maybe sit a game out, to maybe not hurt the team, but just give the best opportunity for the team to win. Yeah. And I think by the way he was playing last night, he should have taken that day of rest to possibly better off this team when it came to defensive intensity and really giving them the best shot to win.
Yeah,
but on top of that, we're talking about starters. Solo Ball similarly struggled, 8 points on 3 for 10 shooting in just 19 minutes, which is also lower than his average of 30. That's mostly due to his 3 fouls in just the first half. He eventually would reach 4. He just wasn't really able to get anything going because of that foul trouble, because he wasn't able to stay on the court long enough to heat up.
No, not at all. On the bright side, you could look at some increased bench activity. Jaden Ross and Malachi Smith led the bench in minutes with 27 and 16 minutes respectively. Also to note, Eric Ryba had a solid night following Terrace. He was able to grab, I believe it was 14 points. I want to double check that. But, good to see the increased bench activity. Even though the starters weren't able to show up as much as we would like them to, it was still good to see them coming to fruition. And I just double checked. Eric had 14 minutes and then 8 points. So not a bad night overall compared to against Georgetown when they only had 3 rebounds combined. This was a good bounce back for the big guys down the East.
Definitely. I mean, one major issue that's yet to be solved, a regular complaint on our show, free throws.
Yes.
UConn went 11 for 18 from the stripe on Wednesday for just 61%, already below their embarrassing number of 69.8 on the season, which ranks them 270th nationally, which is basically fallen them 25 places from the last time we checked in on that number. In conjunction with a defense that couldn't really keep up with Creighton, under 50% shooting from within the arc, and poor free throws, this loss exemplifies the issues that have been looming all year, and it kind of all came together in one form tonight to create this kind of nightmare fear for the Huskies.
Yeah, for sure. This is just a bunch of problems kind of accumulating. You know, it's not necessarily one problem here or there that'll cost the game, but if everything comes together like it did against Creighton, it's going to likely result in a loss like it did. And I guess the big question here is this was a huge turnaround from what happened in Omaha when the Huskies absolutely dominated, winning by almost 30 points. So I guess, was this a trap game to say? It's difficult to kind of see what happened because, you know, there's a difficult schedule coming up for the Huskies. They have to play Villanova, St. John's, and Seton Hall, respectively. And that is a tough schedule. So was this one maybe overlooked, or are the Huskies really in trouble? It's kind of hard to tell.
I think for a long time we spoke that against St. John's that this team, you know, this was the wake-up call that they needed. I think, though, in their minds, St. John's was still a team that was highly respected at the time, right on the bottom of the top 25.
Yes.
And, you know, a loss against a ranked team isn't the most embarrassing thing in the world. So that it wasn't the biggest learning lesson for them.
Yeah.
But last night, it was, wow.
Yes.
You know, 13-13 team. You know, not bottom of the Big East. They're sat right in the middle there, but that's mostly due to the Big East not being the strongest conference this year.
Yes.
They're, I believe, 8-8 in the Big East.
Yes.
This has to be their wake-up call.
For sure.
There's no excuse. There's no other loss. There's no other real team on their schedule that is going to be much of a wake-up call for them. You know, like you mentioned, Villanova, St. John's, Seton Hall. I mean, you have Marquette to end the Big East schedule, but it's all teams that are really going to push a high level of play against this team. And Hurley mentioned it in his post-game presser. Today was not going to be fun for them.
No.
At all. It's going to be a day of probably a lot of yelling, a lot of learning, game planning for Saturday, and just, you know, trying to fix these issues that have been so prevalent so far.
Yeah, absolutely. And we talked about from the beginning of the season, sure, there's plenty of time to still go. It's almost the end of February. So it's definitely crunch time, and I don't want to be a downer by any means. There's still tons of season left to play. You know, there's still tournaments to be had. So there is still time, absolutely. But, you know, as long as it can be used as a wake-up call for the Huskies, you know, there's always still time to turn things around. For the time being, this is a quad 2 loss, although barely, because Creighton is currently ranked 73rd in the net, and if they were to fall to 76th, it would become a quad 3 loss. So, you know.
St. John's, with this loss now, jumps into first place in the Big East. Definitely not what the Huskies were looking for, especially as they have to play them next week.
No.
And win against them, I think, will not grant them. I don't know if it would grant them first place in the Big East.
I don't believe so, unless they can beat Villanova. They'd be tied. So.
So yeah, I mean, fans weren't the problem this time around.
Yeah, let's go.
They showed up. Gamble showed out. It was loud. I mean, granted, the student section did a lot of that. It felt at times, you know, the lower bowl and the non-students, the fans who just showed up, weren't always on their feet or the most electric, and the students kind of had to get them going.
Yeah.
But you know what? You got attendance in the building. They did what they had to do last night, and the team just wasn't able to show up to really back the performance of the crowd in this circumstance.
Yep. Ultimately, we got to move on. There's still games to be had. Yeah.
Of course. So, we have no news for this week, so let's just get right into our next matchup. This Saturday, the Huskies will travel to Philadelphia to take on the Villanova Wildcats for their second of 2 matchups this season. Villanova currently sits at a 21-5 record, sitting right behind UConn in 3rd place in the Big East with a record of 12-3. Last time out, the Huskies won an overtime thriller against the Wildcats by a score of 75-69 to 67, primarily led by the scoring solo ball, who notched 24 points on 5 for 11 from beyond the arc.
Yeah, for sure. In this last stint with Villanova, UConn trailed for pretty much like 3/4 of this game and only had the lead for about 7 minutes or so. In terms of how the matchup played out, it was pretty even in terms of statistics, so there's not really too much to go over. There's no key differences per se. But overall, they were able to still outlast Villanova at home, so it's going to be interesting to see how that'll play out on the road.
Definitely. Let's give you a bit of an update from the last time, get you more familiar with other players, specifically for Villanova. They've been led this season by Tyler Perkins, who's averaging 13.7 points per game. Also notably by Duke Brennan, who's averaging a double-double on the season with 10.7 rebounds per game. Surprisingly, there is a team worse in the Big East at shooting free throws than UConn, and that is the Villanova Wildcats, who are 68.9% from the free throw line and ranked 294th nationally.
Yes, not good either way for either side. However, in the last matchup, both teams were able to shoot 77% from the line. I think they both went 17 for 22. So, maybe these teams help each other shoot free throws.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be the worst thing, I guess.
Can UConn bounce back? Was this the wake-up call yesterday that they needed? I don't know. I mean, we'll have to see. We thought St. John's might have been the wake-up call, but you know what? We've got time. We've got limited time now.
Yes,
Not time. We're so used to saying there's time to fix mistakes. March Madness, the Big East tournament, are right around the corner, but be on the lookout this Saturday, February 21st at 5:30 on TNT. The Huskies will take on the Villanova Wildcats at Xfinity Mobile Arena in Philadelphia. So stay tuned.
Yes.
Lastly, before we wrap this one up, let's go for a mood of the week. I know we said we're going to do moment of the week or switch it up. We're back to mood of the week for this one. And it's, Emeka Okafor was honored yesterday by his number 50 being put in the rafters.
Yes.
He had a part during a speech towards the end where he stood at half court with this kid and pointed down and, said that he was talking about when he was a child and, Connecticut. He looked at that little blip on the map in Connecticut and was like, one day, didn't realize at that point, but he would one day realize that place would become the basketball capital of the world. And it was just a sweet moment with this child. Here you go.
I just want to thank you guys for everything. And, if I could go back to that, 9-year-old, 10-year-old self, okay, and ask him, hey, answer this question. Hey, you know what you're going to do? Hey, look, you see that little map right there? You see that little blip? That blip, that right there is the future basketball capital of the world, okay? All right? And one day, you will be standing at the center of it, okay, in front of friends and family and loved ones, and they will be looking at your jersey. And you know what you're going to say? You know what you're going to say? You're going to say, it's been an honor and a privilege to be part of this program. Okay, it's been an honor and a privilege to be part of this program. To be embroidered in a legacy that continues to grow and get stronger. Thank you guys. Hey, from the bottom of my heart, thank you guys for everything.
That was a nice moment to see our legends honored like that and, have a nice moment with his son, even though the rest of the game was a little chaotic. It's nice to see our legends honored like that.
Definitely. But with that, thank you for watching this episode of Talkin Husky Hoops. We'll be back next week to break down this upcoming matchup versus Villanova and preview as the Huskies look to get their payback against St. John's at home next week. Though for now, I'm Mike Gizzi.
And I'm Jeong, UCTV Sports.
Go Huskies.